Tell me of your grind, good people of Gamer YouTube. How much grind is too much grind, and what kind of grind do you enjoy best? Which kind of grind bores you to tears to such an extent that it has made you abandon a game you otherwise thought you loved? Hello again, I am Blunty, and today, if you hadn't picked up on it, I want to talk about grind and see how many times I can say the word grind in a single video about the word grind. Well, not about the word grind, but about the concept of grind and grinding in games that cause you to grind. Or at least ask you to grind. Or expect you to grind. How many was that already? Now, while grind and grinding is the term most used today to describe performing a repetitive task or quest type in a game in order to gather more experience points or crafting materials or in search of the ideal RNG loot drop and the like, we older gamers might also know it as farming, which, is a word that still gets tossed around a bit today, but it usually depends on the game type specifically. Or indeed, you might have called it treadmilling, which is a word I've not heard used in the context of gaming in many a moon. Possibly for quite a bit longer since the last time I heard someone use the phrase, many a moon. But whatever you call it, it has been with us since the very early days of gaming, pretty much since any form of non-linear progression and/or power incrementation systems were introduced. You can actively grind, you can passively grind, or even AFK grind in some games, like say, setting up some auto farms in Minecraft to gather massive amounts of certain materials. Pretty much any Minecraft player has done that at some point, probably to quite ludicrous extents. But grind is still grind, and in some types of mid-game grind, say sandbox open world action RPGs with tons of side quests and even collectathons, they can help extend the played life of games with definitive endpoints, giving you more to do in a game you're enjoying before you finish the game, or at least close off its story. In other games with a more open endgame situation, and especially those with years worth of additional content being added to them regularly, like Monster Hunter Rise here you're seeing being played, grind is a way to extend the playable life of game, not quite indefinitely, but certainly far, far past just completing the main quest line and calling it a day. And in MMOs and live service games, of course, endgame grind is for many the game, with some players not even considering the leveling process to get to the level cap, or at least the current level cap before they extend it with an expansion or whatever, to be the actual game at all. That's just the leveling experience. That's not the game. They're just doing that to get to the game, which is at the end of the game. The leveling experience is just something to push through to get to the real game, the end game grind. Which is an attitude from MMO players I've always found a bit confusing, because I tend to like to take my time in the leveling process to experience as much of that part of the game as possible. I've always felt like if you rush through the mid-game to get to your level cap or whatever, you're missing out on a ton of what the game has to offer, which always seems silly to do in a game you ostensibly enjoy. Other players, especially those playing subscription model online games, will frequently lament and condemn seemingly excessive grinding mechanics, considering them not actually fun or engaging, just a necessity enforced by the game devs in order to extend how long people have to play in order to achieve certain endgame goals. In other words, it's just a ham-fisted and cynical tactic to make players feel forced to maintain a subscription for longer and longer in order to grind out profit on the dev's end. I mean, it's not like they're unhappy to be paying a subscription. They made that choice in the first place because presumably they enjoyed the game. But the attitude is usually more that mindless grinding is far less valuable, as far as their subscription goes, to something more substantive that the devs could have instead worked on. Instead of this grindy bullshit, they could have done something fun. Even in free-to-play games, this criticism is often leveled in much the same way, but instead of claiming the devs are just greedy, wanting more subscription money, this time the exact same content type just gets called lazy instead. Because it's simple, it's mindless and repetitive, and, they could have done something more interesting instead, is the question. I frequently heard players of Destiny complain about the endgame grind, although I hear Destiny 2 is better on that fact. Chime in if you know. I bounced off that game long ago. Same goes for the likes of Wild Hunt, whose endgame is heavily criticized for being boring and way too long and hard and grindy. Xenoblade Chronicle 2s, I've heard about that. Maple Story, GT Online, Elite Dangerous, Pokemon Go, Prestiging in COD. And more than a few MMORPGs out there have the running gag within their communities that the endgame is like working a second job. Me personally, I don't mind most grind in many games. A lot of it is fairly brain-off stuff I can do while watching other stuff on a second screen, for instance. I was doing that just yesterday. I was watching a bunch of stuff on a second screen while just popping off the NCPD quests in my current playthrough of Cyberpunk. So it's not like that time is spent just mindlessly grinding away at a game. It's a multitasking thing. I have thousands of hours in Monster Hunter between World and Iceborne and Rise and Sunbreak, and on multiple platforms. Even just on Switch, I've got over 1,500 hours in Rise and Sunbreak, so grind can be fun. I can certainly enjoy grind. I'm glad it's there because it means I get to play more of this game I really enjoy playing. Hell, some people seek out unnecessary grind to extend their own games, like a Pokemon player who builds a living dex, or even more mind-shearingly tedious, a shiny living dex. Good Lord, no thank you. But there have been a few games in history that have, kicked me off with their especially dull or painfully slow grind experience where I'm just like, no, I'm done now. This is boring. Like PSO2 NGE, for example. I was really looking forward to that game. It was very exciting, and then it turned out to be so deadeningly boring grind fest, and it 100% ruined the game for me, and I haven't been back since a couple of months after it launched. The reason all of this is on my mind, though, is, hello, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak players. You saw the news today, didn't you? Yeah. Title Update 5, very, very exciting. New content to play, new monsters, new challenges. But there's a new endgame, and to get to the endest of endgame content, the most challenging hunts the game will ever offer you, now that this is the last title update, there is one more update coming, but apparently it's just one monster. This is the last proper title update. But you need to get to Anomaly rank 300 to even unlock these so-called special investigations. And even then the grind doesn't stop, because it's only the host that gets rewarded for these quests, and only after you unlock them one at a time after completing individual level 300 Anomaly quests per monster. Like I said, I have thousands of hours in this game, and 1,500 of that is on my main save file on Switch, and I still am only Anomaly rank 146 or so, because I chose not to focus exclusively on grinding Anomaly quests and doing nothing but grinding Anomaly quests day in, day out. And for the last year or so, I've only been dropping in and out of the game, a couple of times a week or so to do the event quests or just kill some time or whatnot. And also I've been splitting my time to other platforms when it launched on the, the big consoles and stuff. We did a few challenged playthroughs on that and the like. So the grind to even reach these hunts is already melting my enthusiasm for this game. And that's a real shame, because I friggin' love this game. But this news, it's just like, oh man, I can't even play that new content until I've grinded who knows how many more hundreds of hours. Jesus wept. And the fan base is pretty friggin' annoyed right alongside with me. Go find someone who's happy about this. I dare you. This kind of grind doesn't extend the game's life. It makes it a misery instead. It makes you feel worse about the game you once loved, where once you'd hunt just for the fun of it. You just hunt for the fun of it. Now, with this massive Everest of a mountain sitting in front of us, every hunt we do, you see your Anomaly level trickle up just a little bit, hunt by hunt, and instead of feeling accomplished, that you're making just a little bit of progress, you feel exasperated at how much longer you have to do this just to see the new content at all. It's so dumb. It's so frustrating. It's so just crappy. And Capcom. No, Capcom. This isn't it. Anyway, let me know your grinding stories. What game has pissed you off so much with their grind you walked away from it? What games do you enjoy grinding in? Thanks for listening to my little rant, I suppose. I just couldn't think about anything else, so I had to make a video about it, and now I can get on with my day. Thanks for watching. I am Bloody. Thank you as always to the patrons scrolling up above there, and I will catch you next time.